Hello everybody. Welcome to our Power BI workshop for beginners. Well, it's also the same content for our Power BI workshops, which is a class Exceller. I'm super excited to take you all through our Power BI beginners content, which is going to be um, a series of videos where we talk about Power BI as a software, what kind of data can you pull into Power BI, create some classic stunning reports and dashboards that allow you to understand what data do you have at hand and how you can use it for your own decisions. Whether you're an engineer, you're just looking for data analytics jobs, whether you're someone who wants to learn Power BI because you're interested, or you're a business owner, small or medium, or whatever, any large enterprises as well for your teams. If you're exploring Power BI, or if you're looking for options to understand how do I convert my huge chunks of data into some useful reports that we'll be able to make some decisions. You never know, you can generate more revenue, achieve more sales, bring in more clients, etc. etc. Alright, if any of these is what you are looking for, or you're any of these that we've just discussed, then you're exactly at the right place, and this is probably where we should go ahead and get started about what's our agenda slightly more elaborately. Alright. Okay. Hello everybody. Alright, before we jump into the agenda, a little bit about myself. My name is Padma Priyanka CV. I've been an IT business analyst for over 10 plus years now. Fortunately, I figured out that training and assessment is probably one of my passionate areas. Let's put it this way. So, I like to share my knowledge and skills, whether it's softwares, primarily in terms of how we can apply softwares to our real-time scenarios. I personally believe that technology and softwares can be used to the best of our needs. They're the fastest and most efficient ways to achieve some of our needs, whether on a daily basis or on really large-scale complex projects. But it's also our job to use them responsibly. Having said all of that, there are a lot of Microsoft apps which have been super helpful for a lot of daily needs and complex projects problem solving. Example, Excel is a classic data analytic tool, and if you're someone who would like to create some visuals like me, then Power BI is your go-to Microsoft tool. So I have been training learners in Power BI for the past 2.5 years. I've been doing in-person sessions, and I've also been doing some online sessions. I want to create my own courses, so here I am talking to you all about some Power BI, and I'm excited to get into our course agenda. I will also link some of my additional courses. I've been training in Microsoft Excel, programming languages like Python. I also do a full stack web dev package that's kind of easy for you all to relate to, and if you'd like to create some web apps customizable and really original, the reason I say is they are full code web apps, but they're going to be very easy for you to create and easy for you to customize from the scratch. Then all of these are going to be linked towards the end of the course. Do check out my LinkedIn pages. I also run monthly workshops to talk to people, to talk to folks who are interested in sharing their skills, knowledge, or if you have any queries, if there's some interesting updates around technology, if there's something that I want to talk to you all about as well, then we host groups. We host toast groups towards the end of every month, and that's something that I'm going to link in the end of this course as well. I look forward to connecting with you all on LinkedIn as well. Okay, what do we hope to take forward? What do we hope to share with you all today, or what is it that you can expect to learn after today's course? What is Power BI? What are some introductory elements to Power BI as a software? What are some Power BI products available on the market? Some of them are free, some of them are paid licensing. like any other Microsoft app. We'll then talk about how you can import data into a Power BI app. What is a data model? What is the use, or how rather do we understand how our data is related or not related to each other when we have multiple tables in our Power BI app? We talk about data transformation, one of those primary concepts, one of those key concepts for reporting as such. Even for any other data analytic purposes, we will generally talk about data transformation and modeling a little more elaborately in the next coming levels too. Do check them out, do check my intermediate and advanced levels as well. This is going to be the groundwork for you all to really see Power BI is useful for you, and if you want to upskill for your own learning, do check out my other levels as well, linked towards the end of the course. Now this is where we'll talk about reporting, create some visuals, slices, different types of visuals, and then what exactly is the Power BI service. In short, it's just the online hosted Power BI, online hosted platform for Power BI, where you're able to publish your reports and share with others as well, creating dashboards and sharing it with the others. So that's our agenda for today's course. Let's go ahead and get started for the day. Oh, hang on. So there's something that I want to tell you all. Here's our Power BI Beginners PDF. This is something that's going to be a freely downloadable resource once you've purchased our Beginners Power BI course online. So if you are viewing this video, likely you may have purchased it, and what you may also want to check out on the portal is please go ahead and download your Power BI Beginners free resource PDF along with the course. This is going to have all of the content that we will be discussing in our today's course. It's got the step-by-step instructions for each of those visuals that we create, along with how you are able to publish and share your reports or dashboards towards the end. I know, that must be exciting. Well, we're happy this is going to be useful for you, and I'm definitely looking forward to some feedback from you all for how you find the course and the PDF, of course, all in the end of the course. Alright, so I will also be using my PDF as a reference just to kind of take you all through the content and then also create some visuals as discussed. Alright, let's go ahead and continue. Okay. What is Power BI? Power BI is a classic business intelligence tool developed by Microsoft. This is one of those tools that allows us to connect to different types of data. Data, that's a very catchy word, isn't it? A lot of us come across this word so much in our daily life. What is data? That jargon, data is everything. Everything is data, right? Well, typically, yes, we live in the generation of AI where most of our thoughts is also part of the data that could be captured, isn't it? So data could be, these days, Word documents, Excel spreadsheets, images, or web pages, reports. If it's AI, then hey, again, everything is data, even thoughts can become data. So what do we do with Power BI? We are able to import different types of data from different data sources. For the beginners course, we are going to use a sample Excel data, which I'll take you through in a couple of minutes. Once the data is loaded, we are going to create some visuals that will lead us to the end report. We'll also talk through the interface of Power BI, what options, what features do you have in the app itself, and why it is a very versatile and powerful tool that allows business professionals and analysts to enhance reporting efficiency and improve organizational performance. Right. So what is Power BI Desktop? Power BI Desktop is the desktop version of the Power BI app, which is freely available. I will also link somewhere in this course, probably just check when this part is coming. You should be able to see the link where you will be able to download Power BI Desktop already. This is a primary tool for creating reports. Now this is a free version as we see. However, you need a Microsoft account to access the Power BI Desktop, which I'll take you through again in a while. It offers some powerful features to develop interactive reports, charts, tables, different types of visuals. What is its strength? What is the USP of Power BI? I can load one table, I can load 10 tables, I can load data of different formats. Power BI will automatically give me a data model which allows me to create a report right away. So it is all going to happen in just one click? Absolutely not. Because the key is data. The cleaner the data, the simpler the data, the more organized and structured our data, the easier and efficient our report creation and maintenance will be. Now that's just a cue. Let's dive a little deeper into this as we go forward. This is where we are talking about data transformation. Okay, so before we go ahead into data transformation, let's take a look at the Power BI Desktop app itself and see how we can pull the data in, right? So it's time for some hands-on exercises. If you don't have the softwares yet, please refer to the link below and just download Power BI already. And once you have Power BI, just go ahead and start doing it along with me over here. You can always pause and take a look or reach out to me on a monthly workshop. I'm happy to answer your queries. Let's go get started with our hands-on exercises. Yeah? Please open your Power BI Desktop app. So this is how your app's landing page looks like. On the top right hand side, you will be able to see my name. Now this is where I have a Microsoft account that I'm signed into. So if you're using your work laptops, you'll already be able to sign in, or you may already be signed in as well. If you're using your personal laptops, please make sure you have a Microsoft account created. Couple of things that you may want to know: Microsoft does not always entertain personal or Gmail accounts, so you may need a student account or a work account. But all of these details you will be able to find on the Microsoft official page to download Power BI Desktop. Hang on, let's go ahead and see if I have that link. Download Microsoft Power BI Desktop from official. There it is. So this is your website over here, and once you scroll a bit, as you can see, you will already be logged into your Microsoft account. If not, you may be prompted to create one, so please follow those steps and you should be able to download and install. It just takes a couple of minutes, maybe 5 to 6 minutes. I hope you have this already done. If you haven't, please make sure to have it done, and then let's go ahead and continue. Yeah. Alright, so the top right hand side corner is where you log into your Power BI app. What is the thumb rule of any Microsoft app? You need it all on sync. So I've got my Power BI, I've got my Excel spreadsheet, and then the Power BI service. All of them will use my same Microsoft account. We may know Excel spreadsheet and Power BI Desktop app by now. We will talk about Power BI service. One thing you'll be able to notice is over on the top right hand side, once you log in, you should be able to see a link to your Power BI service as well. Alright, so we will come back to this in a minute. Okay, so in this landing page, you've got a couple of different types of reports, and then some other options on the left hand side. You have options and settings, something that we may need when you want to save the report or when you want to choose a location or publish it or so on. You may need this also for some settings related stuff. What we're going to do today, I'm going to pull some sample data. Happy news, great news. So we've got some sample data already in the Power BI Desktop available for everyone. Alright, so let's go ahead and click on Learn with some sample data. And then you can select the option Load Sample Data. Alright, so as it loads, it's going to connect, it's going to create a data model of its own, and then opens a navigator window where all the tables and data sets available as part of that Excel spreadsheet will be visible. So let's click on the first one. We'll notice that one is a table and the other one is a data set. The first one table has got just headers, it's got some structured data, whereas the data set may not have all the necessary information that it needs, maybe some empty rows, empty columns, etc. One primary thumb rule with Power BI, we want to have as clean tables as possible. This allows starting to create reports a lot more easier than pulling random data sets into a Power BI app. So if ever you need to choose, should I use an Excel spreadsheet to clean my data, or can I directly do it in my Power BI? That's a question that could have quite a few answers depending on the use case. Say for example, my primary data source is not locally available, it is sitting on an Azure server. I may not be able to download all the time and clean, in which ways Power BI's query editor is where you edit the data. We will dive a little deeper into each of these in the next couple of minutes. However, what is an easier way to do it? Make a copy, download, open it in Excel spreadsheet, clean it as much as possible with proper headers, arrange it in the form of a table, and then import the Excel sheet into Power BI. This is probably the easiest way to start creating a report in Power BI. Now let's go ahead and load this data into our Power BI app. Still loading. Alright, all loaded. Well, good. Perfect. Alright. So this couple of minutes, let's take a few minutes to look at the Power BI app interface as such. The UI interface, it's got some ribbons on the top, home, insert, modeling, view, etc. You then have some ribbon options over here. On the right hand side, we have the visualization screen. This is where you can create different types of visuals. When you hover the mouse on each of them, you will see the name of the visual that can be created as well. On the right hand side, we have the data pane, which is where all data that we load into the app gets visible. For instance, this is the financials data set that we have just loaded, that is the sample data. When you expand this, you will be able to see all columns of the Excel spreadsheet that we've just loaded. One thing that you may notice here, our sample Excel spreadsheet has got only one table over here. On the left hand side, you will be able to see different types of views. So we've got the report view, which is where we create all visuals. You've got the table view, which is where you have the entire table. Wait for it, there it is. So as you scroll through, you will be able to see all of the data available in our Excel spreadsheet. Please remember that these are all views, meaning you cannot edit data over here. Now here comes the most important part, which is the model view. We've got just one table, so financials tables, all fields are over here. If you have more than one table in your Excel spreadsheet, what Power BI does is it imports all of those tables provided we select them, and then gives you the relationship between each of those tables. Towards the next couple of minutes, you will also see we will go ahead and split this table into two and then create a relationship so that you can have a better view of what a data model is and how it is useful for reporting. Now back to the interface. On the top in the home ribbon, you will also see something called the transform data. Now remember, we just discussed that in the table view, you can only view the data, you cannot edit it. Let's say I want to edit my data over here. I have a huge table, but I want to split it so that my report will become a little faster. What are one of those key data modeling principles is have your tables as narrow as possible, as lightweight as possible. Let's have discrete tables for each dimension, which we will talk in a while. For example, this is the financials data set, and we've got data around sales, price, and then date, month, etc., country, and then profit, revenue, etc. So just off the top, we can directly say that we've got some customer information, and then date related information, and then we've also got a lot of sales data set. So one of those ways that this table can be split if required for multiple reasons would be I can have a separate date table, or I can have a customers table separately and then sales information separately. So I don't think we have a customers table here yet, or there's customers field. But anyway, that was an example that if you have more than one dimension, then you can split the table. For today, however, we are going to keep it simple. We have one table. We are going to see how to split the table and see what the relationship is, and then we'll continue with reporting. Alright, now let's say we want to edit the data, modify some values, or create some columns, create some extra rows. I want to add a new country to my sales data set, or I want to modify the sales values in some countries, or I want to see what the date values are so that I can see if I have the data for all the past 2, 3 years or 5 years, how many years of data do I have, I want to see. Whatever be your requisite, and you have to edit the data, then you can go to transform data. When you click on transform data, please go ahead and select the first option, transform data. Now this will open the Power Query editor. So when you now take a look at your Power BI desktop, the taskbar icon, you should be able to see two windows. One is the actual Power BI desktop, and the other one is the Power Query editor. The query editor is where all the editing happens, and once we edit the data, we have an option called close and apply in the top left corner of the home ribbon. This is where you click on the drop down and apply, close and select close and apply. Okay, so now since we are already in the query editor, let's explore the options of query editor as well. So we've got some ribbons on the top of the query editor as well, Power Query Editor, Home, Transform, Add, Column, etc. On the left hand side, the queries pane will show you the list of tables that we have available. On the right hand side, you will be able to see the name of the table along with applied steps. Now what is this steps? This is where we will be able to see all the steps of transformation. Time to talk about transformation. You have something called a Power Query bar. This is where all steps of transformation can be written in the language of Power Query, which is language M. Similar to some other data languages, structure languages like SQL, you can also use Power Query, which is language M. This is also usable in Excel, which makes it a lot more easier for us to import data from Excel into Power BI. So if you're someone looking for Power Query M, language M related exercises, or just a refresher course, or how you can use it in Microsoft Excel, do take a look at my course link towards the end of this course. Please check that out if you may find it useful for your own learning and work context. Okay. Now, what is transformation? Simple words. Let's say I've got too many columns over here. Let's take a look at the columns. We've got quite a few columns over here. I shouldn't say too many because we do need data. No amount of data is too much. So we've got date, month, month name, year, etc. Now let's take a look at the profit column. you will notice that all these are just simple numbers with no commas. You don't know whether it is rupees or Australian dollars or US dollars, whatever dollars. What is the currency over here? There is no idea, right? Also the data type. On the left hand side of each of these columns, you will find the data type. So when I click on this one, this is where you will find the data types. So for now, the data type is decimal number. However, we want all profit values to be represented in currency, which is fixed decimal number. So I am just going to change it to fixed decimal number. Let's see how to do it one more time. You go here and left click on 1.2 and then select fixed decimal number. Okay, replace current. Voila, we now have some two decimals with a comma separator and the currency is dollars. Now when we clicked on this, you notice the dialog box that said whether you want to add a new step or replace a step. And here there is a step called changed type. So what does this area primarily do is every step of change that we do in the query editor is recorded over here. These are simple steps, however, these are key steps for transformation for a clean report model. What are some other steps of transformation that we may need over here? Similarly, you will find units sold. Units sold may or may not be decimals, we may just need whole numbers. So what I will do now in units sold is left click on 1.2 and then convert it to whole number. Add a new step. Now you'll notice that this step has been added as a new one, and this is the Power Query for the same that says this particular column units sold has been changed, the data type has been changed to whole number. I hope applied steps makes sense to you all now. In short, whatever changes or updates that we do to data types, to the data itself, to the nature of data, column headers, the values, any update automatically gets recorded over here. Now that we have made two steps of transformation over here, let's go ahead and apply these changes back to our model. Why do we do that? Because till now we are still in the editor. So we want to confirm these changes back into our data model. So let's click on the drop down and select close and apply. May take a couple of seconds for it to load back again, and there it is. So let's take a look at the model view now. You'll notice all our columns over here. Units sold also has a summation icon. All fields who have numbers by default can be summed up, which is why you will find the sum icon. You'll notice that month number, profit, sale, price, sales, all of these are numbers which can be added. So there is a summation icon over here. So here is our data model which is ready. For now we have one table. We also saw what a query editor is. That's great, that's amazing. It's now time for us to kick in with some great visuals. Let's go ahead and get started. Alright, okay. It's now time for us to start creating some visuals. Let's take a look at our PDF. In the meantime, data transformation, Power Query Editor. Why is it necessary? Because you don't want any missing values, duplicate records, unnecessary columns, rows, etc. Transforming your data helps to improve the quality, consistency, and optimize report performance. Do take a read through towards the rest of the PDF. You've got some great concepts that might help you start creating reports with refreshed conceptual understanding. Alright, so we started with the data connection as well. This is where our visuals start. Let's go ahead and get started with our visuals. First, go ahead with the cluster column chart. If you hover over the visuals on the right hand side, you will be able to see the name of the visual clustered column chart. Please go ahead and left click on it. Well, just normal click, not left click all the time. Normal click, clustered column chart. Okay. What I'm going to do is select some fields from over here. Let's say select product, and then we also select country. You can click and drag the visual, just place it on the corner and then drag it across to resize accordingly. Along with product, country, we're also going to select the sales. That's going to be our primary values. Voila, that's our first visual. So we've already started creating our Power BI reports. Excited? Yeah, I'm super excited to see some great visuals. You can format them, you can customize them, you can design them to your own choices of layout and much more, right? Okay, so we've got product, we've got sum of sales, and then country. You'll be able to see in all of these properties just below the visuals. There's a default header that comes for every visual, which is the x-axis and y-axis combined. So it says sum of sales by product and country. Let's say I want to modify this sum of sales. I want it to say as total sales, right? Because sum of sales not really great for a reporting structure, isn't it? Structure, what do you say? Not a great choice of visual name. Yeah? Required me to think too much. So what I'm going to do is I want to modify the sum of sales to total sales. So I'll go to y-axis. I'll check the drop down over here. If I click on the drop down, I have an option that says rename for this visual. Well, you will also have it. So let's say we have an option called rename for this visual. Let's click on this visual and I'm going to rename it as total sales. Enter. There it is. It's total sales by product and country. Well, let's say I don't want a legend for now. I'm just going to use the cross button in the legend and let's see what happens. There it is. That will give you the total sales value of each product in each, just the total sales values of each product. If you want to see the value in each country, then you can select the country field as well and that will get added up in the legend. Right? Now let's say I actually want to see the total sales in each country, but this legend over here has to include the product. In Power BI, this is all going to happen in just a tick. Want to see the magic? All you need to do is click on the country, drag it across and push it to legend or push it to x-axis. Okay, that didn't work. Interesting. So let's do one thing. Let's eliminate the product. Let's bring country over to the, let's eliminate country and product. Let's bring country to x-axis and then product to the legend. Voila, there it is. Okay, lesson learned. Click and drag doesn't work all the time. Apologies, it's my mouse. So I just had to use the cross button to take them off and then select the fields one more time. The order in which you select the fields is how they get placed. So I selected the country first for x-axis and then product for the legend. Now when you click on each legend, as here, let's say Montana, you will find only Montana sales over here. Similarly for Armadillo, etc. If you don't want the products, you can just remove the products from over here and you will just have the country-wise sales. Okay. You can also format your visuals by selecting this option called Format Your Visual. There are quite a few tabs over here, as in options over here under two tabs, visual and general. Please select the general tab, and if you navigate into effects, you will be able to see a slider called visual border. Let's turn the slider on. There it is. Now when you scroll down a bit, expand visual border, you should be able to customize the border to your choice. Let's say I want a slightly darker color, so I go purple, and then rounded corners, also slightly thicker. There is my border. Alright, so that's our first visual. We'll talk about a few more visuals and then customize each one of them in different ways. The other beautiful thing that I want to show, if you're someone like me who loves visuals, I do love visuals, again, I know, you can take a look at the view ribbon, expand the themes, and look at the color combinations. Okay. Let's go ahead and select a theme. I'm going to select one for myself, and that is this one. Okay, not bad. Yeah, that's okay. We can do with that. Alright. So that's going to be our first visual, and then let's go back to the home ribbon. So view ribbon is where you customize the views, and then you go back to the home ribbon. That's our first visual. Alright, let's go ahead and create our next visual. This time we'll select a card. If you just hover over this 1, 2, 3 visual, you will see that it's a card. Just click on it and you will see a card as a new visual. Now let me show you something. If I select this clustered column chart and then select a card, you see what happens? The old visual gets overwritten. So always, I'm doing a Control Z, always select outside the visual so that you don't see any visual selected, and then create a new visual so that a card is a new visual that's created and does not override our old one. What do we want to present in this card? Let's say just the gross profit. So I'm going to select the profit field from our data pane. Lovely, we got a 16.89 million total profit. And this is probably where we want to ask ourselves, how did we arrive at this number? What factors have we considered to reach to this profit values? What is our roadmap to increase this profit based on different factors, so on and so forth. So if you are a reporting person, if you're someone who loves to work with Power BI, or your team uses Power BI, or if you've already been using, this is probably one of those purposes. We want to identify where we are, we want to identify how we arrived there, and how can we improve. Alright, so that's our card that says 16.89 million. We want to rename sum of profit. I don't like to see the sum of profit. So I go straight to the fields, use the drop down, rename for this visual, and then change it to total profit. Okay. Isn't this card a little too small? Of course it is. I think I need my specs too. So I'm going to use the format your visual, and then if you take a look at the visual tab, call out value section, just expand the call out value and you can increase the font. I'm going to increase the font to maybe 42, not bad. You can also change the color. Let's say we want the same value to be slightly differently presented in red. That's a little bit alarming, isn't it? Let's make it a little more happier. So it's okay. Yep. And then if you want to increase or decrease the decimal values, let's say we don't want the decimals, right? So let's say you can click on value decimal places and make it 0. Oh, lovely. Oh, wow. Isn't it amazing to round it up to 70 million? That's fantastic. That's exactly how we report and we show. Yeah? Alright, so similar to our previous visual, I'll still use the format your visual section. For a border. If I want to add a border, I'll go to the general tab, use the effects, and then switch on the visual border slider, expand it, customize it, still use purple, yeah, one purple, more purple please, rounded corners and rounded it. There it is. Oh, lovely. Beautiful, isn't it? Okay, so now let's say I want to create another card, but this time what we want to present is well, maybe the number of products that we have. Why not? Yeah. So what I do is, you can use a Control-C, Control-V or a normal right-click copy paste if you want to duplicate a visual. So I will select this visual. You know, you select it. Click press Control-C, select outside it and press Control-V. There it is. We've got a duplicate of our card. This time for the new card, you'll see that the field is still total profit, but we want to change it to the number of products. So what we do, we click on this close button of total profit or remove button of total profit and then select the field product. There is the magic of Power BI. What you'll notice is when you select the product field, automatically takes the first product. But when you selected the profit in the previous card, it gave you the total profit of all values, all product sales. Why? Because profit is a number data type, whereas product is a text data type. What do we want to present here? First product, is that of any use? Probably not. So what we want to do is select this drop down and then select this function, an implicit measure called count distinct. What does this do? This will give us the number of products available in our data set. Isn't that interesting? Again, count of product, not a great name for the card. So let's go ahead and select the drop down and rename for this visual as number of products. That's it. All right. What do you have to, what could you do from your end to maybe explore this a little more? Select different types of fields, select different combination of fields, use different visuals and see how data is presented on the report. So basically, when the visual is presented, what we want to ask ourselves is, what is the data behind this? Why is it being presented this way? And what does this information tell me about a question I may have, or it can lead to any kind of decisions. For examples, let's say I click on this country, Canada. Did you just see the magic? That the total profit automatically reflects for Canada. Now let's click on France, 4 million again. Let's click on Germany, 4 million. Mexico, 3 million, and then United States of America is 3 million. So what is something that we see over here? Canada, France and Germany have a profit of 4 million. However, United States of America and Mexico, we have a profit of only 3 million. So this might allow us to compare why the difference of sales in two countries, how can we match up to each, or how can we improve the sales further in Canada or France or Germany, so on and so forth. You may have also noticed that the products did not change because there's no real relationship over here between products and the sales by country. We'll talk about relationships in the data model slightly deeper, elaborately as we go forward. Okay, on to our next visual. We are on to table. let's go ahead and create our first table. To take a look at the visualizations, here is a table visual. Please go ahead and select. That's a key only. This is a table. And there it is. Now let's select some data fields to show in our table what we're going to show. Let's keep it simple. We'll go ahead and maybe select country and then sales and the profit. Isn't it too small? My table is too small. Mine is like yours. Then please go to format your visual one more time. Let's increase the size of this data within the table. So I'll go to visual tab. Under the visual tab you'll find values. So I'll expand values and increase the font a bit readable. Maybe let's make it slightly smaller. 18 is okay. And then I'll also go to the headers, column headers, and increase the size over here as well. Here it is. Again, sum of sales, sum of profit. I'm going to rename it. Rename for this visual. Sum of profit is going to be total sales and total profit. Lovely. Alright. Again, let's put in some borders. Let's give some borders to our visual. Lovely visual. Let's go to format your visual. One more time. General, effects. Scroll slightly. Sorry. Switch on the visual border slider. Expand visual border. Change the color to dark purple. One more time. Just for consistency. Feel free to explore from your end. That's it. All good. Beautiful. Let's do something. I'm going to slightly modify my visuals so that my table is not this small. I find it's too small for the data it has. Slightly. Let's bring it over here. Not much better. Okay. There it is. Lovely. Okay. All right. Okay. Now this feature, what you may notice is when we select a country in the first visual, it will automatically update the other visuals that have a relationship. This feature is called interaction. By default, Power BI dashboards are interactive, which is why it makes it a lot more interesting to, not only interesting, well, from a learner's perspective, interesting, yes. From a business perspective, it's also a lot more insightful to understand how the data is related underneath and how it is impacting other data as well, right? So that's a table visual. Well, there's quite a few magical things that you can do in a table and really uplift your report's presentation. For example, when I select this report, when I select the table, let's say we've got total profit drop down over here, and what I want to do is highlight all countries whose profit is more than 40% of the total profit value, right? Or maybe 20%, whatever, right? So let's say the value is about $35,000, 35 million, is it million? No, it's 3.5 million. Yeah. So if the total profit is more than 3.5 million, then we want to highlight it in some particular color. So what I do is I go to this drop down of total profit, and then I apply a conditional formatting, and then let's say background color. Now this is where we apply conditional formatting. Similar to Excel, what it says is we want to apply some colors to different values in the total profit depending on a criteria. Let's select the criteria. In the minimum drop down, please go ahead and select a custom value. Let's say 3.5 million. And then highest value is also custom. Let's change it to 4.5 million. I'm also going to slightly modify the colors as I have a slightly different Once you've selected the custom colors for both minimum and maximum values, let's go ahead and click OK. Oh, lovely. Okay, so we got different colors, probably the same one in the countries, but depending on the values distribution, you will be able to see different colors. Okay. Alright, let's go ahead and continue with our next visual. What is it? The next one that we have is the line chart. So as you can see, line charts can be used to represent multiple metrics against dates. Particularly, we'll go ahead and take a look hands-on. I hope you all are still with me here. I just took a short break. Okay, so because we've got quite a few visuals over here, so what I'll do is maybe just to structuring so that it's not so cramped up as a page. You can arrange it in any format that you like, and I'm just trying to demonstrate as many features as possible that you can try at your end as well. Okay, now let's go ahead and create our next visual, which is a line chart. So if you take a look at the visualizations, you will find a small line chart icon in the second row. So I'll click on it. Please make sure it's a new visual again, otherwise you will replace the old visuals. Okay. For the data fields, we are going to use the date field against profit, and let's also use maybe segment. Okay. And we use it as a secondary y-axis. No, let's say leave it as legend itself. So if you take a look at the fields over here, in the x-axis we have the date. By default, Power BI will always give you the hierarchy. This is called a hierarchy, meaning it has the day, month, quarter and year. Then in the y-axis we have the sum of profit. As usual, let's go ahead and rename it to total profit. So please use the drop down and then change the name of y-axis to total profit. In the legend field, we have something called a segment. So what we are trying to present is segmented sales in this line chart. So as we all know by now, Power BI has something called interactions. So if you want to see the total sales of only maybe an enterprise segment, so you can go ahead and click on enterprise over here, and all the visuals that you see over here will be enterprise sales only. Not a great profit from enterprise, definitely some improvements required in the enterprise segment for our sales to improve there. Please also bear in mind that all of this data is just example data, sample data, so this is not actual numbers anyway. However, as we speak through numbers, I am also giving you some examples for how we can think about what we are presenting. In this case, the profit in fact has reduced, which means somewhere there have been losses around enterprise segment sales, right? So it is something for us to look a little deeper, even if it is a real case scenario. These are some decisions, insights that we can derive out of these visuals. Okay. So now you will notice some arrow marks in the top right corner of this visual. What I will do is I will click on something called a focus mode. This is a focus mode. Let's click on it and notice what happens. focus mode, you can expand the visual to the entire page, right? So as you can also see, because we have legend as segments as legends, each color of the line represents each different segment. You can click on just that segment and you will be able to see the sale of just that segment. For example, enterprise, government, mid-market, small business, etc. Once, if you anytime want to expand your report and maybe you're presenting to someone, focus mode is a great feature. Let's go back to report once you have finished analyzing it. It's also time for us to add some outside border. So I'll go to format your visual, expand the general tab, effects, switch on the visual border slider, use the same ones that I've already been using. Okay. So this is our line chart. You'll also be able to see the heading total profit by year and segment. I hope it is visible on the screen. You can always focus, or you can also use the magnifying option over here if you want to just enlarge your screen while presenting. Okay. So this is an example of a line chart. Now, something interesting with line charts, or you may have noticed that I used a term called hierarchy in this. So the x-axis for this particular visual, we have the date field, which is a hierarchy: day, month, quarter and year. Now that you will be able to see it in the form of arrow marks in the top of that particular visual. The other visuals don't have hierarchies, as you can see, but the line chart has, because we've used a date field. So what I'm going to do is I'll switch on the drill mode. This is called the drill mode. And notice what happens. For now, the x-axis has years 2013 and 2014. I select this option called expand all down one level, and that will become 6 months. So now if you look at the lines, it will show you data points for every 6 months of sales or profit. We have used the profit over here, so you will be able to see 6-month intervals profit in this chart. Once we go one more level down, you will notice that the data points are now for every quarter. Right? So what happens now if we go one more line down, one more level down? From year it came to 6 months, then it came to quarter, so now it will go to month. So I have gone to the last level now, so you will see this option is grayed out. Now if you take a look at the data, you will see that maybe quarters are the last level. Let's go one more level up. Okay, so now what we have to probably check is, so what we are able to now see is, you are able to see yearly data, 6-month wise data, and then quarterly data as well. So let's take a look at our data once. So I'll switch to the table view, and then we will move to the date field. So if we take a look at the date field, we are also able to sort the data over here. You can just click on this drop down over here next to the date field, and then let's say we'll go ahead and sort it ascending. Right? So now we have sorted this entire table ascending, and you will notice that we have got data for September, October, just the first of every month. 1st of November, and then 1st of December, 1st of January, so on and so forth. So the lowest level of data that we have is monthly data. We don't have a daily data over here, which is why if you go back to the report view, the lowest level of data once we expand will also show you just the monthly data, May 1, June 1, etc. You can see that the tooltip has 2014 quarter to June 1. Okay? So one level up will take you back to quarterly data, and then one more level up will take you to 6 months data or quarterly data, and then one more level up to yearly data, right? So drill mode is a feature that will allow you to expand or collapse data in the line chart visual, in this visual. In any visual, you are able to drill depending on the nature of field that we use. Now, what we want to understand here is, if I just had to step back and explain, is you may have noticed the zooming feature in visuals, right? In PDFs or in some images, you can use a magnifying glass to just zoom in to see that segment alone, and then you can zoom out to see the overall picture. Drill mode is something similar to that. When you switch on this feature, you are able to expand all down and zoom in to the data to the lowest level of hierarchy. In our case, it is monthly data. And then you can zoom out to quarter, then zoom out to year, or drill up. Drill up is the feature for zoom out correspondingly. I hope that was understandable and relatable to you. We can drill visuals wherever there is hierarchy involved in the data fields. More on hierarchies and how it can be used to present different types of visuals. Very complicated data can be very easily presented by using hierarchies in our models, which I'll explain in the next coming courses. We're probably not going to go a lot deeper than this. I think this itself is a little bit for us to digest and practice at your end. I hope you're able to try it out. If you have any questions till now or even later, you can always connect with me if you'd like to during our monthly sessions, Power BI chat sessions. Yeah. All those details you will find in the end of the course. Okay, so that's about the line chart. Amazing. So we've also spoken about hierarchies. So let me just zoom out our report a bit so that you're able to see our first page a little fully. You can also collapse these panes if you want more space. So let me just collapse filters for now. So this is our overall first page of the report. Right? And you can also rename your report pages by just double clicking over here the name of the page, or you can right click and choose the option rename. Okay, so let's rename it to ABC sales report segment sales report. Let's name it as ABC segment sales report. So the space. Okay. Now what we'll do, we've got enough visuals here, we probably will not squeeze too much. Let's go ahead and create another page in the report. Please go ahead and click on the plus icon for a new page of the report. Voila, we're done, we're ready to go ahead. Okay, so that's about a couple of basic visuals that you will already see in the visualization screen. There's quite a few that we can explore. I'm going to try as much as we can, and also leave a few for you to try at your end. As mentioned before, always feel free to reach out. You can also find tutorials or videos or connect with anyone, or I'm happy to connect with you if you'd like to reach out to me with any queries at any point of time. Okay, now let's move to, do we already have a table? I think we already have a table. Perfect. Okay, now let's move ahead to something called a donut chart. Now this is something that I certainly want to talk to you about. Let's go ahead and present a donut chart. So if you take a look at the visualization pane again, you will notice something called a donut chart over here. Last one in the third row, I'll go ahead and click on it. Okay. For the data fields, let's go ahead and select profit one more time, and then we'll also select products. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and rename it sum of profit. Let's rename it to total profit. Product wise. So in this visual, you will now be able to see that we just have color representations for each product, and area signifies this profit, right? That's a very beautiful visual that can be amazingly customized to suit our needs. I'll take you through some of them. If you go to format your visual, you just have a section called detail labels. Okay. Do we have a legend? Let's also have, I don't think we need a legend for over here. There it is. Okay. So if you go to the alright, so you can do amazing customizations on your donut chart. I'll take you through a couple of them. So if you click on the visual and go to format your visual, please go ahead and expand the section detail labels. For now the slider is on, however you are able to see just the name of the product. At my end it might be different at your end. The other thing I also want to say is if you've got different versions of Power BI, very much possible, you may notice slight discrepancies, but you will still have all the features that I have. Could be different wordings or slightly differently positioned, but there should not be a lot of differences in Power BI versions as such, considering visuals and the way they are represented. So let's expand detail labels. For now you will notice that the label contents include just the category or the product. But what we actually want to present is either the value or the percentage at least, right, of total profit. So you can select this drop down of label contents, and here you will have so many combinations of values that you can present. So what I am going to say is I want the category to be present, or I want the data value to be present and the percentage of total. And see, I'll also, while I'm here, I'll also give it a border, general effects, visual border. Okay, right? Okay, so one more time, let me go to format your visual, click the visual first and then format your visual, detail labels. So we have the data value and percentage. What is missing? Any chance, any thoughts? What is missing is a legend, because we want to know what color is what product, right? So please go ahead and switch on the legend slicer. You can expand this as well, and let's position the legend on the right hand corner, right hand of the center of the visual. So just for you to take a closer look, I will go to focus mode. That's how a donut chart looks. The greatest thing about donut chart is, of course, any legend for that matter will automatically allow you to filter data. So if I select just VTT or any product, only that particular product will be highlighted within the chart, and when you click on it you will be able to, or when you just highlight, you are able to see what is the product, what is the value of the profit, what is the percentage of total profit that this product has contributed to in ABC sales in the last year, right? So what is our top selling product? 17, 28, 10, 12. So it's this one. It is passive, right? Maximum profit we got from passive. Okay, so now let's go back to our report, and like we already, you are able to copy and paste visuals. Okay, so what maybe I am thinking that we have had enough visuals to discuss. So what I am just going to do is I will cut and paste this visual from this page to our first page itself, right? So you can select the visual. You can use Ctrl plus X, which is the keyboard shortcut to cut. Go back to your first page and hit Ctrl plus V, or you can also do a right click and paste. So I'll go ahead and just place this visual in the first page itself. We have enough space here, that's good. And then I'll modify the border also slightly. Sorry, I can't leave it. It just doesn't escape my mind. Okay, right? So now we are all good here. So this is a very consolidated report, we can say, because we have total sales by country, profit by year and segment, and then profit by product as well. So if you want to present information to stakeholders, or you're trying to give someone a rough idea of what our sales are looking like, you can use this as a very consolidated start for a report. When we click on each country, you can talk about sales in that country alone, or you can just click on that particular segment from over here and then talk about sales for that segment. Now just be mindful that sometimes hierarchies are a bit tricky. So when you click on something in the hierarchy visuals, you can always use the drill button to reset it back to original state. Right? So now let's say we want to understand only Canada sales. You can click on Canada and then talk about how the sales are being distributed. What is the value of over here? Now let's also take a quick look at this. Okay. Okay, so what I just did now here is, if you take a look at our line chart, we have a lot of Alright, so that gives you a rough representation. Also, if you take a look at our first visual over here, total sales by country. Yeah, there it is. Total sales by country. Initially, primarily this visual has a default tooltip. You all may be aware of tooltips. You can just hover the mouse over any country and you will be able to see the country and the total sales. By default, it is the x-axis and the y-axis values, right? Country and total sales. Now let's say we also want to present to someone, so they want to understand how that country has been performing with respect to our profit. So you can manually go and add a tooltip parameter just to say what is the percentage of total profit or total sales. So what I am going to do is I will select the visual, always select the visual, and then if you come to the visualization pane at the bottom, just scroll through to see something called tooltips. So manually we can add any number of fields over here to add into these tooltips. So what I will now do is I will select this profit field and then click and drag it across to tooltips. But I don't want to see the total profit value. Let's see what happens now. So for now it shows whatever the value of the profit in each country is. What we can also do is you can select this drop down next to sum of profit and change it to show value as percentage of grand total. Right? So now what happens when I hover over each country, we'll be able to see the total sales value and then percentage of profit. So total profits percentage will be visible for all of us. 20, right? Okay. So that is one way. You can also add tooltips manually to visuals. Alright. Now lastly, we are also going to see something called a slicer. Functionally, it is very similar to our filters over here. You may have noticed that if you click on each product over here, by default what it does is it filters all other visuals to show the sales of only that particular product. This is a legend just particular to the donut chart, but legends will also act as filters. Now what is the actual term? We don't use the term filters because filters are mostly on the data side. Visually all of the filtering happens through a feature called slicing. Some of you may have heard of slicers in Excel as well. Similarly, we have slicers in Power BI, which is very useful to present information in reports. Right? So what I am going to do is I will go ahead and create a slicer manually. as you go ahead with reporting, you get used to just clicking outside somewhere, so that when you create a visual, it will be created as a new one without replacing the old one. Let me go ahead and create a new slicer here. You just make it very small and place it somewhere over here. You don't need a lot of space as well for this. Okay. So for the slicer, I am going to use a data field called product. So please go ahead and select the field product once you create the visual. Now you will be able to see all the list of products created as a slicer. What is the use of a slicer? When you select any particular product, all the visuals will show you data only with respect to that particular product. So Passio is the product we have selected. Total sales is, for now it shows 100% because we haven't calculated a relative value, more on that a little later. But when you select any particular product, you will see the profit or number of products just in that one. What is the sale value or percentage of sale only of that product in each country? Similarly, what are the numbers in this table? So in essence, just to sum it up, what we've seen is we have used this table, used different combinations of fields to create multiple visuals, so that in the end, when you click on anyone or when you're trying to interact with each other, we can give a story of how our data has contributed to any decision or whatever we want to achieve going forward with respect to our objective. In this case, it is sales reports, right? So this is a sales report. So what we have hereby created is a report that will allow us to present information to stakeholders and explain how our sales have been performing, how they have contributed to our profit, which product has been doing best, so on and so forth. So for storyboarding, visuals for storyboarding in reports, Power BI is a fantastic tool, and I hope you're all able to see the benefits of it and apply it at your own context as well. I think that brings us to the close of almost primary visuals that I wanted to discuss with you all. Quickly add a back border. Sorry. Can't miss that. Okay. Alright. Wonderful. So that's our first page of the report. You can go ahead and create as many pages as you want. Of course, there's some settings related stuff that we will touch base a little later. But you can create easily quite a few pages for your report. And if you don't need a page, an extra page like us in this case, you can just right click and select the option delete. Delete. Alright, amazing. So we've got our first report fully ready, ABC segment sales report. What's pending for us is just to publish and share it on Power BI service. Now this is where something I will be demonstrating, and you may have to check at your end for what accesses you have. You may recollect that in the first parts of the session, the first few minutes, we spoke about how you have to be synced in your Microsoft account, right? Okay, let's dive into the last couple of minutes before you complete the course. And if you're already here, congratulations, you've done 3/4 of the course, and I'm glad it's useful. I hope to hear back from you soon. Hang on for the last few minutes. Let's go. Right, so you have an option called publish in the home ribbon on the top. Meantime, what I'm also going to do is I'll open a browser, and then I'll go to another, I'll take a new tab, and let's go ahead and open a URL called app.powerbi.com. powerbi.com. Right. So this is the online version of Power BI or the Power BI service. which you will be able to see that once you hit the URL, if you are already logged into your Power BI desktop, you will be able to see the same website, same ID, the same student manager account here in the top right corner. So this is essential for you to double check before you publish your report so that you're already logged into your Power BI service, particularly in personal laptops. Office laptops, I am assuming that it may already be in sync, but I will leave it out to you to just double check that you're logged into the same Microsoft account as your Power BI app. Only then once you publish the report, you will be able to see it online, right? Okay, so welcome to our Power BI service, which is the last part of the session. Now on, it's fairly simple and straightforward. I'll go to Power BI desktop, the report that we've just created, and then you can click on the option Publish. Save the changes, yes. So by default, you will always have My Workspace as an option in your navigator. So please go ahead and select My Workspace. Let's go ahead and select. Voila, magic is on the way. We will soon be seeing our report online and be ready to share it with others. Perfect, got it. Okay, so now if you go back to your Power BI service, please go back to your browser, app.powerbi.com. If you just scroll through a little to the bottom, you should be able to see the report that you have just published. Let me go to My Workspace. On the left hand side, you have the backstage view. Here is where you will find an option called My Workspace. If you don't find this option yet, you can click on these three. Well, I think you will all find it. Yeah, I think My Workspace is always available by default. Otherwise, you can go into Workspaces and then click on My Workspace. Yeah. So let's go to My Workspace. This is where you will find all reports that you have published. As you can see, this is the report that we have just published, which is today. And along with this, you will also see the data model, which is the semantic model. What is the use of the data model and how we can use it to leverage some other functionalities? These are certain things that we will discuss a little more elaborately in the next levels of our Power BI course. In this course, we primarily take a look at the report that we have published, and then you'll see if you're able to share it to others. Yeah? So please go ahead and click on the report that you have just published. Beautiful. So that's all of the visuals and all pages that we have created. You should be able to see in your report. On the left hand side, if you have more than one page, you should be able to see the list of pages as well. Right? On the right hand side, you will be able to see the filters pane as well. If you have any active filters, we haven't discussed, we'll come back to that. If you want to edit any of these visuals, let's say I don't want one of these visuals, or I want to modify the some part of it, you can always use the edit functionality. So once you click on edit, you can edit your report over here on the Power BI service. Whatever changes you have done, whether in terms of visuals, added a new one, deleted, modified one, removed a slicer, anything, whatever is your update that you need, once you have done, you can go back to your reading view. Now you will also notice that once you edit, that you are able to see the data pane, which is exactly the same as in our Power BI desktop app. What does this mean? Although we have loaded the Excel spreadsheet, a sample sheet in our Power BI desktop, once you publish your Power BI report, you will be able to see the data model on your service as well. This is why whenever you publish your report, both the report and the data model get published to the Power BI service. I understand your next question. Does this mean can we go back and edit the data from our service? Absolutely not. You can only see the data model that has been exposed, but you cannot see the actual data. So if you want to take a look at the actual data, you have to go back to your Power BI desktop app, and from there you can use the table view, as we all know. Table view. This can only be used to view the data. Right? Alright, back to our Power BI service. Once you have done all the changes that you need, you can use this option to save your report on your Power BI service and then go back to reading view. Another question that we commonly get is all changes that we do on Power BI service, do they go back and reflect in the Power BI app as well? No, they don't. All changes that you do on your service will remain only in the service. They are not going to reflect back in your Power BI app. However, all changes that we do on your Power BI app, once you republish, they will automatically be updated in the service. Right? Okay. Last step of today is going ahead and sharing our report. Please go ahead and use the share option. You can just type the email ID of anyone whom you want to share it with. Okay. So you will get any warnings if whether you want to allow this report to be shared or however you want to do it. You also have an option called copy link over here. So let me go ahead and copy this link. However, you can also send an email to anybody who you want to share this link with, right? Now, couple of things when you share reports, or we'll also take a look at what a dashboard is. Couple of things is anybody who is able to view your report is only able to do so when they have access to your workspace, when they have access to Power BI service. So if you have shared a report, they should be in your network so they can go ahead and open the report. Otherwise, we create child workspaces into which we publish reports and provide people accesses. So sharing as such in terms of accesses and configurations are managed by your Microsoft Teams in organizations, or we can go ahead and set it up in a way that people are able to view it and share it with the appropriate accesses. So more on this a little in the intermediate level, as there's slight concerns of security, not concerns, slight details of security that are involved, which I will share with you all in the intermediate level. So if you are someone who is looking to learn about sharing reports and dashboards with people and configure some security for credentials, roles and accesses, access management, identity management, please hang on or take a look at the not hang on, as in please take a look at the course links shared towards the end of this course for the next levels, where I will be diving a lot deeper into those subjects. Yeah. So in this level, what we'll see is how you're able to share reports. In simple terms, click on share, provide email addresses, or you can use copy link, right? So now I am in a different email credential. So what I login credential. So what I'll do is I'll open another account, another Google tab where I'm logged into another credential, and I'll paste the link that I have just now copied. So it will ask me to enter my credentials.
There it is. That's our Power BI service, app.powerbi.com. Once you log in, on the right hand side, you'll be able to see the email ID that you have used. You can also see your license type and what's your tenant. More on those details to follow up in the next coming videos. There we are. All your data in the form of a report is now available on Power BI service, from where you're able to share it with others within your group, within your teams, outside of your groups as well, provided they have access to your workspace, access to your. So there it is. I hope you're able to try this out at your end for a simple sales report. It's just a one-page report. Would take very little time for you all to try out. You got your email ID, you got my email ID in the contact the description box below. Feel free to reach out to me with queries at any point of time. Please look forward to more videos. I would love to hear your comments and feedback for how you find this course, and I will see you soon.